Attention, Washington Commanders fans. Let's talk about the devastating blow to our defense. One of our top defensive figures is out of the game. Now I ask you, how is our team going to bounce back from such a loss? Well, I've got 5 names that could step up to save the defensive line. And let me tell you, one of them might be the reinforcement we need to stay in the fight. Stick around until the end to find out who they are. But that's not all. Not so fast. After the loss to the Ravens, we're now in the top 5 of the power ranking. Yes, I know it sounds unbelievable, but I'm telling you there are solid reasons behind this unexpected position. Are people underestimating this team? Or is it that we're seeing something others aren't? We're going to break it all down because this ranking has huge implications for the upcoming weeks. And speaking of the weeks ahead, Week 7 is just around the corner, and we're up against the Panthers. Now I ask you, are you ready for a showdown that could define our position in the NFC? The stakes are high, injuries are shaping the landscape, but there's something few are noticing that could change everything. Stay tuned until the end because we're going to break down all the key factors of the matchup, and you won't want to miss a single detail. So, if you're as passionate about this team as I am, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. And don't forget to leave a like, because this is where you'll get the scoop on everything happening with our Commanders. This season could take an unexpected turn, and you'll be front and center for all the action. Washington Commanders Nation, let me tell you this, we are in a critical situation. Jonathan Allen, one of our defensive pillars, suffered a devastating injury against the Ravens, a torn pectoral that will sideline him for the entire season. And now, what do? I ask you, who is going to step up on defense? Because Allen wasn't just a force on the field, he was also a leader. And this is no small thing. Look, I know we're excited about rookie Johnny Newton and Fedarian Mathis, who's already 3 years into the league. But can we really trust them to fill the void Allen leaves behind? I think we need more. And the management, led by Adam Peters, knows it too. Sure, we might say we have internal options like F.A. Obata, who can bring pressure from the interior on passing downs, but is that enough? Let me be clear, we cannot lose the momentum we have. Under Dan Quinn's leadership, this team has made a resurgence, and losing someone as important as Allen is a tough blow, but we cannot afford to falter. So, what options do we have? Evan Anderson, a player with size and explosiveness, is on the 49ers practice squad. We could give him a shot, but I ask you, do we really want to gamble on a rookie at this point in the season? I'm telling you, we need someone who can contribute right now. Someone with experience. Chris Wormley is another option. He comes from the Ravens, but has also played for teams like the Steelers, and he's proven to be solid against the run and generating pressure when needed. And look, with all due respect, if we're going to bring someone in from the outside, they better be able to adapt quickly, right? We could also bet on Hassan Ridgeway, a veteran with 8 years of experience, who has been a real wall on defense. The problem here is he's coming off an Achilles injury. I ask you, are we willing to take that risk? Because sure, if he's healthy, he'd be a great addition, but his recovery is a big question mark. What about Jonah Williams from the Vikings? He's versatile and can play both tackle and defensive end. I'm telling you, that flexibility is something Quinn values a lot, but can we trust him to adapt quickly and be the reinforcement we need? Lastly, there's the veteran Al Woods, at 37 years old with tons of experience. He's played multiple positions and could be a short-term solution. But how effective will he be at his age? I ask you, should we bet on youth or experience? Now, Jonathan Allen is irreplaceable, and we all know that. I believe the impact of his absence will be huge, not just because of his physical ability, but because of what he represents in the locker room. But we can't let this stop us. Dan Quinn and Adam Peters need to make a quick and strategic decision so we don't lose the momentum we've built this season. Now let me ask you this. Do you really think the Panthers stand any chance against the Washington Commanders this week? Because let me tell you something. The Panthers' defense has been more lost than a compass in the desert. Washington, on the other hand, is 4-2 and leading the NFC East. Jaden Daniels has been a machine. With 6 touchdowns through the air and 4 on the ground, the rookie has proven he deserves to be in the conversation for Offensive Rookie of the Year. But what does all this mean for Sunday's game? Let's look at the facts. The Panthers are coming in with a 1-5 record and have lost 3 straight games. Andy Dalton, who started the season well in Week 3, has lost his way again, and it doesn't seem like things will change much. So I ask you, is Dalton the solution or the problem in Carolina? I think this team is waiting for a spark that just isn't coming. Now let's look at the Commanders. This team has covered the spread in 4 of their 6 games, with a 4-1-1 record against the spread. At home, they've been almost unstoppable, covering the spread in both games played at FedEx Field. And let me tell you something else. Even with Jonathan Allen's injury, this defense is capable of making life miserable for a Carolina offense that has been, at best, mediocre. Chuba Hubbard is one of the few bright spots for the Panthers, but if the Commanders can contain him, I don't see how Carolina can keep up in this game. Now, what do you think about the betting line? Odds makers have Washington favored by 7.5 points, and honestly, I think that's generous. Who in their right mind is going to trust a Panthers team that's been a disaster on the road since 2022, with a miserable 3-17 record away from home? Come on, let's not kid ourselves. This is the moment for Washington to solidify their position as contenders. And let's not forget about Washington's offense. Daniels, Robinson Jr., though he's questionable, and company are ready to take advantage of one of the league's worst defenses. The over has been the trend in nearly all of both teams' games, so I think we're going to see plenty of points in this matchup. The total line is set at 52, and I ask you, do you really think we won't reach that? With 2 porous defenses, I see it as almost inevitable. So here's my prediction. Washington will dominate the Panthers and cover that 7.5-point spread. I see a final score well over 52 total points, and yes, the Commanders will take the victory without much trouble. The key will be how Daniels handles the pressure, but if he keeps playing like he has so far, I don't see any reason why the Commanders shouldn't win this game comfortably. Now let me ask you something. How is it that the Washington Commanders, a team that was on a hot streak, let the Ravens take a game like that from them? How did we let slip away a game that was right there for the taking? I'm telling you, that loss to the Ravens 30-23 has to sting. It has to be a wake-up call. And now the big question we're all asking is, what does this mean for us in the NFL power rankings? Because listen up, we dropped from 4th to 6th place. Yeah, folks, from being in the top 5, now we're sitting at 6. And what about Jayden Daniels? The dude looked good. I saw it. You saw it. Jayden came out to do what he does best, moving the chains, making the plays count. Even with the Ravens shutting down our rushing attempts, Daniels responded. And this is where I ask you, is that enough? Is it enough for a quarterback to have a solid performance if the team, at the end of the day, doesn't seal the victory? Hey, don't get me wrong. I know the NFL is a game of strategy, of adjustments, and yeah, the Ravens have one of the best teams in the league. But come on. I believe a team like the Commanders, who have been on a roll since week 1, can't afford these kinds of slip-ups if they want to be considered elite. Because while we drop 2 spots, you know who's ahead? Teams like the Packers, the Lions, and of course, the Ravens themselves. Teams that, if we face again, we've got to find a way to beat. So where's the problem? Some will say it's on the defense, that we couldn't stop Lamar Jackson in key moments. Others are going to point out the errors on conversion plays, and they're not wrong. But I'm telling you this, if we really want to be in that conversation of the top 5 teams in the NFL, we can't just rely on flashes of brilliance from Jayden Daniels or a few good offensive series. No, we need consistency. Now I ask you, where is that consistency? What are we going to do to get it back before it's too late? Because, folks, the schedule isn't going to cut us any slack. Next week, we face the Panthers, the lowest-ranked team. And here's something that worries me. Is this a trap? Are we going to get too comfortable thinking we already have the win secured just because they're sitting at 32? We can't afford that luxury. I see it this way. This game against the Panthers is an opportunity, but also a test of character. If the Commanders come out and dominate, if they impose their rhythm, we can start talking about a team that's back in the top 5 conversation. But if we let them put up a fight, if we fall asleep, then, friends, we'll be looking at another drop in the rankings, and worse yet, another setback in our aspirations. Now I ask you, Commanders fans, what do you think the team should do? Should we trust the young players we already have? Or do we need to bring in someone experienced to replace Allen? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear what you think, because this decision will be key to the future of this season. Now I ask you, the true fans of the Washington Commanders, what do you think this team is missing to be truly dominant in the NFC East? Because it's one thing to beat teams like Carolina, but the real question is, can we dream of something bigger this season? Let me know your thoughts below, and let's discuss it. I'm telling you this, the loss to the Ravens was a cold splash of water, but it's also an opportunity to react, to show what these Commanders are made of. Are we going to see a team that rebounds and gets back into the top 5 of the NFL? Or, I ask you, are we seeing the first signs that this season might get complicated? I want to hear your opinions. Let me know in the comments what you think the Commanders need to do to come back strong next week.